All right, so we're getting started. There's multiple chapters in this video. Please feel free to check them out. I got one going over the Visio of this environment. I got a little video clip of the actual physical hardware and how I set it up in this cool little nightstand. And then one actually goes through the different physical hardware that I bought on Amazon so you can see all the prices and everything else on what I purchased. So what I have here is I wanted something enterprise level that was be able to do HA and vMotion and backups, a bare metal hypervisor. So Proxmox pretty much had it all right out of the package. As you can see right here, I don't have a subscription. I just downloaded it off the web. I use a program called Rufus to burn the ISO out to a USB stick, booted it up, and went to town. And so far, what I've got a 3-node cluster right now. Proxmox 1 is running on a Beelink. Got a couple systems running. Proxmox 2, got just one system running for right now. Proxmox 3, this is actually just for HA in quorum so that I don't have the split brain problem. So this is actually running on a third Beelink, which is actually serving the shared storage. So what I did is I also installed KVM on that node and then installed Proxmox as a VM. So now I have a 3-node cluster, which then properly handles the quorum. The great thing about this too is it not only gives you everything you want, it gives you tons of different reporting. Right here you saw this big spike on my CPU usage, definitely on my network traffic because this is when my backups ran. So you can see the performance graphs really detailed. You can see, right here, I've got 40 CPUs or cores, 33 gigs of RAM, about 3.6 terabytes of hard drive space. So you get tons of reporting in here, which is just wonderful. Then also, like I said before, you get a backup solution. The backup solution I currently have set up, it goes to an external hard drive that's mounted. So right here is the external hard drive that's mounted was plugged into one of the Beelink systems. Then I mounted that as an external hard drive so I could put my ISO images and my backups. So that's where that runs. And then on the backup environment, you simply say new backup, okay, node, or you can hit all, select your storage, select what time you want. You can click all your VMs or click them all, however you want to do it. Check your compression type and just hit OK. And oh, the other thing is you also can set a retention. So it's like keep last 6, keep a weekly. So I've actually utilized this. I had my Windows VM mess up on me because I did something stupid. And I actually had to do a restore, and I actually used the backup solution, and it worked great. So that was wonderful. The one thing I'll show you so you can see the hardware on each VM. So what I did on all my other VMs is I just moved the hard disk over to my shared storage, which is the A100. What I'm using for shared storage is I have Red Hat Enterprise Linux running on top of a Beelink system. That Beelink system has an extra hard drive in it, NVMe chip, 1 terabyte. Then what I did is I created and allocated all the space for one NFS share and then mounted that as shared storage in Proxmox. So none of my VMs are actually running on the actual Proxmox servers for storage. It's running on this A100 on a separate Beelink system. But what I did is I migrated this hard disk over to my shared storage. But what I forgot to do is my EFI disk and my TPM disk. So these I didn't have my Red Hat systems. So if you try to just move this to your shared storage and forget about these two, when you try to do a vMotion, it breaks because it'll run, but the next time you reboot, it'll break because it doesn't have the EFI and the TPM disk. So just a little note on that one. So just back to it, you can see my status online. It gives you, charts over here. Gives you your IPs, CPU usage, memory usage. Um, Going over the drives. This is the local VM, the local storage on the actual physical device. So on Proxmox 1, that physical system, these two drives or mounts, represent the local system. This is the physical external hard drive that I plugged into Proxmox 1. And as you can see also, it is actually presented to Proxmox 2 and Proxmox 3. And then where I have my shared storage is on A100. And you can see on my VM disk, so these are what's running. And I could easily just come here, right click, migrate, and let's move it over to Proxmox 2. It'll start the process, say okay. So we're moving K31. And if you look down here, so it started a HA migrate process. And it's kicking it off. Oh. And here in about a minute, if that, 30 seconds, it's going to migrate all. And yet again, you got to remember, this is just running the CPU and the memory. So it's not actually moving the storage because the storage is on an NFS share. So now I'm running on my other physical node. And as you can see, everything's fine. It's up and running. You can log in. Oh, that's another thing. You have access to the console, just like anywhere else. But just like other systems, you can't really copy and paste through it. That's fine. This has just got, I mean, you got snapshots, you got backups, you got pretty much everything you would want at enterprise level in a free community edition that you don't have to pay for, and it works pretty much right out of the box. In the next, like I said, in the next videos, I'll be going over, a diagram of my environment, what I paid for, and actually, the web page of the different devices and the prices that I paid for them. And yet again, I built this over time. It's not like I went to the online and just bought everything at once. I slowly built my environment and got it up to where it is today. So don't be discouraged, like, oh, I don't have this kind of money. Well, no one really does unless you're wealthy. So, just build on it little by little, and over a year or so, you'll have a pretty nice environment. All right, so let's. All right, now for this part, let's kind of go over this diagram and give you an update of all the hardware and what's running on the hardware. So the first piece of hardware is right here. This is a Beelink ERQ5. It's got an AMD Ryzen, here we go, the stats. 16 gigs of RAM, 500 gigabytes on NVMe, dual 1 gigabit NICs. Got another Beelink ERQ5, same stats, and a Beelink SER5. This one's got a little bit different stats. It's got the 24 gigabytes of RAM. I added an external hard drive, not external, but a secondary drive. You see this down here, the NFS NVMe 1 terabyte. Then I actually have this connected over a 2.5 gigabits connection. The other ones are running 1 gigabits connection. This is a TP-Link 2.5 gigabit switch. So what I have is you got your two Beelink systems. Then running on top of that, I got Proxmox. So I got a Proxmox hypervisor running on one Beelink, another Proxmox 2 running on another Beelink, and then what you see across here at the bottom is the third Beelink is an NFS server, and it's serving out storage, which is then registered in the Proxmox, both Proxmoxes. So more or less, I've got now shared storage, kind of like a SAN setup, you would think, so that I can vMotion systems from one to the other and everything else. So on Proxmox 1, I'm running my Ansible on Red Hat, Kali Linux, Windows Server 2022, Proxmox 02. I got Podman and K31. K31 is going to be my first node. I haven't spun up my second one for my Kubernetes K3 instance. So I also, on the Beelink, of course, you got local storage. So on the local storage on this Beelink here is where I kind of built my RHEL template for Red Hat, so that I can just spin up all my systems using this template. And it's got I used Ansible software to install all the different packages I wanted on my template, so that every time I spin up a Red Hat system, it's got a suite of software already installed that I want. The external USB hard drive up here in the top left corner, this is actually mounted, well, it's plugged into the Beelink system, and it's mounted in Proxmox 01 as backup and ISO storage. So Proxmox, by default install, came with some basic backup software where it does a snapshot, kind of like Veeam, and you can even set up, hey, I want to keep the last 5 days worth of history, first in, first out kind of thing. And so I set up the backups. Now all my backups are copied across and saved on the external USB drive, and it runs every night at like 9 o'clock. So what I've got running here, this in my solution, I wanted to get as close to an enterprise solution as I could. So I've got virtualization, I've got vMotion, that's what you see down here at the bottom. I got shared storage, got ISO repository, I got OVA support, I got a backup solution, and I even have updates. Even though it's only the community edition, you still get updates for it. In the virtualization world, I wanted to kind of test out everything. I got Red Hat, Kali Linux, Ubuntu, Windows Server. So I'm trying to, test this and see, okay, what can't I run on this? The only thing I've had problem with so far on it is I tried to take an OVA file and install Nagios XI, and that failed. I think it was because of incompatibility. I didn't really drill down into it too hard because I already have one running on another system, but I wanted to see if I could get that up and running here. So this is actually my layout, my design. I think I've actually built off a little bit more onto this, and I'll get that updated here in a little bit. And in the next section, I'm going to go through my Amazon account and show you each one of these devices and what I bought, what I paid for them, and everything. So you can kind of get an idea of these different systems and physically not physically, but visually get a look at them on, where I got them from on Amazon. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in and appreciate it. On to the next step. All right, so this is what I did with that little nightstand. So the nightstand right there is a TP-Link 2.5 gigabit switch, and that is displaying my Red Hat Enterprise Linux. This is the NFS server that is serving the shared storage. It's also running KVM, which is running my third Proxmox hypervisor, and that is only just for quorum and HA. It's not really there for any other purpose other than so that I could have 3 nodes and not have to worry about the split brain. The coolest thing about this was the Beelink system. So you can see there on the back of it actually came with a mount, and you can actually just mount it right to the back of the monitor. So I was like, okay, that's sweet. So that gives me a spot for one of my Beelink systems that I've got. And then, as you can see on the side, those are little 7-inch touchscreen monitors. And I actually used Home Depot stir sticks to make the brackets across there, and then just mounted those up, and those just run off of USB power and HDMI. Then, okay, I'm like, cool. So the thing comes with a slot in the back where you usually put like a place for power. Well, it was a great place to run my cables. So down here, I've got my 2 other Beelink systems. Those are the ones running the Proxmox and the external hard drive. So right here, I've actually got a total of like 3, so if you count all 3 systems, I got 3 AMD Ryzen 7s, each running 16 cores. These 2 here are running 16 gigs of RAM, 1 gigabit NICs, 500 gig NVMEs, and then the one on the back of the monitor, that's only a little bit different. That's running 24 gigabytes of RAM, AMD Ryzen 7, 16 core, and that one actually has the 2.5 gigabits uplink. So it's like my storage side has 2.5 gigabits, My nodes have 1 gigabits. So this is what I did with that little little nightstand, and it was perfect for the project I wanted to put together. Instead of having this stuff run all over the place and laying around, I've actually been able to build this out into a real nice little lab station. Thanks for watching. Alright, so this is what I promised you, the lowdown on the hardware. So the ERQ5s, for some reason, you can't get them anymore with the Ryzen 7. But these are the ones that I'm running, and I think that's the only difference is the CPUs. So I have 2 of these, and these are running Proxmox. So you got a 16 core processor, 500 gig NVMe, uh, you've got dual 1 gigabit NICs, which I'm only using one of them anyways, and multiple HDMI ports, multiple USB, USB-C 3, high-speed USB. So it's a very powerful little system. Like I said, 16 gigs RAM too. So this is a real nice little system. And so I've got 2 of these, each running Proxmox. Now the next system, this one, this is a newer model. This one here, I'm actually using to run as my NFS file storage for shared storage to my Proxmox systems. Right now, I think I've got like 5 or 6 systems running in Proxmox virtually, and they are running on shared storage served off of this. Also, what I did is I also installed KVM on this, and then I set up a third Proxmox server so that I could have a true HA quorum and proper voting and didn't have to worry about split brain. If you don't know what that is, just go ahead and Google it. It's pretty much a voting process in case one of the nodes goes down. If you only have 2, they don't know which one's actually down. So if you have 3, whichever one has 2 out of the 3 votes, those are the ones that are going to stay up and running. The reason I decided to go ahead and put it on my storage source system in KVM, that, well, if that node happens to go down, well, I have bigger problems because then everything's down because storage isn't available. Now, what I also did is I upgraded my switch because now the storage side, Beelink, has a 2.5 gigabit uplink. So my storage, you always want your storage side to be faster than your nodes. So my 2 nodes are running a gigabit each, and then my storage side is running 2.5 gigabits. And that also helps like when you're going to be pulling backups and stuff like that and everything. Right here in the video you saw before this, I've got this little nightstand, and on either side of the nightstand I mounted these 7-inch touchscreen monitors that run on USB, have HDMI outputs, and they run great. Actually, in the video, they're just sitting there with a login screen, but you can have B-top or H-top running on them or something, so you can see performance or whatever. Me, I just use them just so that I can make sure everything's online, and sometimes I'll jack a keyboard into one of those systems directly and need to log in and do something. So that way I don't have to be swapping around HDMI cables all day long. This is something that you might want to think about getting. Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 10 that's out is the version that I'm running, the latest and greatest as of January 2026. And it did not have the drivers for the NIC on this. But luckily, at the same time, because I thought I might want to run a second NIC off of this system, I bought one of these and it was only like 10 bucks. So the Red Hat Enterprise Linux actually had drivers for this. So I was able to get to the network in the internet using this. And then now that I'm connected to the internet, then I could get my drivers and download them, set them up for the NIC that wasn't default installed on this system. So just an FYI, if by chance you install Red Hat on this and you have a problem with a NIC, here's a simple $10 solution. And these are nice to have around because you can plug it into the USB port, get an extra NIC, and they do actually sell these so that you could plug it into a high-speed USB port and run 2.5 gigabits per second. That wasn't really my goal, but they do sell those. They're just a little bit more expensive. But you can actually go from USB to RJ45 over 2.5 gigabits per second, because USB ports now are quite fast. They're actually faster than most NICs on computers, which is kind of funny. So, anyways, I just wanted to go through the hardware, and yet again, don't think, oh, I don't have this kind of money, and that's fine. But you start somewhere. Start piece by piece, because I have a massive computer lab and a massive gaming system and environment, and people are overwhelmed when they see it, like, wow, this is cool, but it's not like I went out and bought all this at the same time. You buy piece by piece and take care of your equipment, make sure it's cool, make sure you clean it, and take care of your stuff, and don't bang it around. And it'll last you quite a long time, and you slowly and surely get to the point where you actually got a real nice lab setup. One of the things I also had done is my old gaming system, the video card finally died and fried, but it still had onboard video. Well, I'm like, hey, this thing's still got an i7 in it, SSD, 16 gigs of RAM. Why not just still use this? So I didn't throw it in the garbage. Keep it around. Keep those old systems, because you can find something to use them for, especially something like that. If you run Linux on it, it's going to run like a champ, dude. So, a lot of low end computer systems you can get and put Linux on it, and it's going to run great because it's not Windows. So, but anyways, this is the hardware side of things and the pricing. And I just wanted to make sure that, I shared with you guys, where's the price on this? Why doesn't it show? That's weird that it doesn't show a price. That's so strange. Maybe it's out of stock or something. But anyways, then like these were not that. Oh, this one's out. I know is out of stock. But yet again, these weren't very expensive. That really surprised me. The little 7-inch touch screens, they're really cool. And like this, it's only $10. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of money in these Beelinks, but you could get smaller versions of them. This one's only like $269. So kind of go with your budget and everything else. $339, not too much of a difference, but just start building out your lab, start buying it piece by piece, and eventually, maybe a year and a half, you'll have a real nice, sweet lab, and then you can build out, something like what I've got. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good day, and on to the next part.